to the second fight on the main card. We have a women's bantamweight matchup that pits Aspen Ladd against her opponent Macy Chiasson. Aspen Ladd is coming in at 9-1 and is the minus 220 favorite, whereas Macy Chiasson is coming in at 8-1 and is the plus 180 underdog. First, you got Aspen Ladd, who likes to walk her opponents down and get in their face. She tends to follow them around the cage instead of cutting them off and doesn't move her head off the line. She has boxing background and likes to lead with a left hook and throw straight rights afterwards. She has a nice leg trip off of a body lock. She has good aggression and has great ground and pound. She is hittable at times and is too predictable with her game plan at most times, but she can throw a lot of volume. Then you got Chiasson, who likes to fight in the clinch often and move forward. She throws an elbow and blitzes 1 and 2s. She likes to use a double leg takedown and has average takedown defense. When on top, she tends to overextend herself and puts herself in situations where she can be submitted when forcing good BJJ opponents. She has good frame and natural power. She tends to get out muscled inside. She has poor get-ups from the mat and doesn't use her height to her advantage. Jim, what do you think of this matchup, and who do you have winning?
Yeah, I'm glad to see Aspen Ladd back after that pretty devastating injury she had a year or so ago. She's a violent young lady. Aspen Ladd, like when she burst onto the scene, I just remember those hammer fists from I believe from Mount, which was they were devastating. I'm gonna echo what you said. She throws a super high volume.
Yeah.
Is hittable, but Macy throws a significantly lower volume. And I think with this fight, you kind of paved the way for where I was going with this. Pace and takedowns are going to favor this fight, and Aspen Ladd checks off both of those boxes. She's a very forward-moving striker. She gets their opponent on the back. She was on the rise. She had the Macy Barber kind of treatment, where she was just like in there, just decimating people, and then ran into Jermaine Durandame. And you're like, oh, well, this is a little rough, right? You know, they put her up against some ranked competition, and it got a little dicey for her. But I think she actually bounces back with this one, because I think Macy waits to pick her shots, and I don't think when you have such a chaotic pace like Aspen gives you, that she's going to have that shot. Plus, like, the way I see it, Macy has to use her leg kicks to negate those takedowns, and I think Aspen's just so forward moving, right? She's pushing you to the back of the cage just to get that sweep and to get you on the ground and just mount you and you know, ground and pound you. So I'm actually going to go with Aspen Ladd. I wanted to go second round TKO, but I think that this is going to go to the decision, because again, I think Macy is a very established fighter. I think she's durable, but I think she's going to get overwhelmed by Aspen's pace.
Yeah, I agree there. This is going to be interesting, knowing that they're going to have they have an extra month of preparation for this, because it was moved back from last month due to COVID, and that's a little bit more anticipation for Aspen Ladd. Just like you said, she's had that layoff of over a year. Coming in here, she's going to want to come back and get a good start going. The thing that's going to favor her is the fact that she puts in a lot of volume. She's got the pace. And like I said in the beginning, Macy Chiasson is pretty easily movable in the clinch. She usually is overpowered there. And I could see a situation where Aspen Ladd goes up and gets into the clinch, pushes up against the cage, and tries to leg trip her down to the ground, and then try and ground and pound her from there. And then if they're on the feet, she's just going to do a lot of moving, a lot of throwing, in and out, trying to keep that movement going, because Chiasson's kind of big for the division, but to me, she's a little bit on the slower side, whereas Aspen Ladd can get a lot of volume going, and she doesn't even have to finish her to get the victory. I see this as Aspen Ladd getting a feel for the fight conditioning, since she has been in the octagon for over a year. I think she goes in there, puts in a lot of volume, and gets the win by decision.
Yeah, and we know Aspen's got great cardio, just training and elevation. Macy's got really good cardio as well. To your point about her being Macy being big for the division, she's got that Jermaine Durandame body, where she's
Yes.
extremely tall and very long. But the difference between the two fighters at this point, and I mean, besides records, Macy's like a new to the game, 8-1, where Dorinda May has tons of fights. Macy is still trying to, in my mind, is trying to find her length. And as somebody who's tall but hasn't been in a ton of fights, when I look inside my head, I think about shorter, smaller fighters getting under those punches, and I feel like that could be a little bit of anxiety for Macy.
Yeah.
And I'm only saying that because like if I were in her spot fighting someone like Aspen Ladd, I'd be worried about like that bulldog tank kind of body frame that just rolls you right into the cage and just peppers you. So I think Macy's got a bright future, but I don't think she wins this fight.
There's a reason why Aspen Ladd's the minus 220 favorite. It's
Yeah.
because of the big time volume. And for her to be on a layoff of over a year, you would think that if she was still fighting, it would probably be a little bit more because of her experience and what she can do in the octagon. But I'm there with you. This is going to be an exciting fight. I think Macy's going to be uh, a force to be reckoned with in the future when she puts it all
Yep.
together. But I just think that Aspen Ladd is a little bit more advanced at this point in her career than Macy is. And I think the volume's just going to be too much for Macy.
Yeah, just a few steps away from being where she needs to be. But great fight nonetheless. This, I mean, sleeper for fight of the night, in my
Yep.
opinion. This and a fight a couple fights ahead of us.
Yep.